Hey folks, I'm a little tiny bit behind the eight ball this morning, so we'll get started in just a few minutes. A dear friend of ours had her birthday last night, or yesterday, and we went out for a few beers and some snacks and stuff. And we were we got home around 10:30, and I drove, so I wasn't in terrible shape or anything like that. But when we got home around 10:30 or so, we sat down with Netflix and said, "Oh, I think that new Terminator series is available. Terminator Zero. It's like an anime set in the Terminator universe." And well, we watched the first episode, and I said, "Oh well, it's only 11. I can watch another one, and I can watch another one." And then next thing I know, it's past midnight. Yeah. So I woke up a little bit too late to have my morning routine and so on. And I'm kind of a mess this morning, just a little bit of a mess. But here I am. And I'm just getting things set up for the stream and pinning messages in the chat and so on and so forth. I can hide that. That can go away. That can go away, I think, hopefully. Come on. Off it goes. Off it goes then. All right, now, let's see. Where can I talk about what I'm doing without feeling like I'm spamming people? Yeah. I don't like posting twice in a row on other people's promote yourself channels over on Discord. Like, if nobody else has posted since the last time I posted, I don't want to do that. It feels weird to me. So, I guess we'll dive in. So, yesterday, I got Entra ID set up in Azure and configured I registered my application. I created an app registration for that. I set up some preliminary user flows so that people can sign up and sign in and so on and so forth. I should probably... Come on. Here's this. Reload the page. Do. And I should probably also log into the Azure portal. And I'll do that while I've got my main camera up instead of my screen share, because I don't necessarily want to share all of my trade secrets or anything like that. So we'll get this. Good. All right, so that's good. I can stay over here. I'll open this in a new tab. Sign in like this, and I gotta change which directory this account is attached to. Excuse me. Come on, load. Make sure my database is open, and I really ought to have done that with a new tab, but that's okay. Let's open the app service in that tab. It says that's paused. I can come over here and let's see if this has reloaded itself yet. Come on, reload. Actually, just stop and we'll do a hard refresh. Wiki wiki! It says the app's running, but it's having some trouble waking up. Just like me. Alright, we gotta relog in. Good, here we are. Now, the database is still paused. Yep, so that's going to take a minute to give its head a shake. Oh, come on, Rob. Here's that. Now, we're not tackling that today. Here's my remote desktop. And there's configure the AppSec with the builder and all that good stuff. And what I want to do today, because the version that's running up in Azure is a little behind what I've got running on my local machine. Database is still resuming. Now, for this, what I'm going to do, and we're probably going to get into this part next week, is there's some things you can do for application reliability purposes. For one, you can put in some retry logic with a variable amount of wait time in between retries. And because we've got the UI saying, okay, go do this and then come back to me when you're done, it's an async type thing. Up inside the code that's actually calling to the database, I can implement some what's called retry logic, where if it fails for certain reasons, we can say, all right, well, wait a couple of seconds and try again. And if it fails again, we can say, okay, wait more seconds and try again. And if it fails again, we can say, okay, wait some more seconds and try again, but this will be the last time. And if it still fails after that, then we'll raise an error message out to the host or out to the application. And I see that my database has come online, so we can do that. And there's a library that's designed for that kind of thing. I believe it's called Polly, P-O-L-L-Y, like Polly the parrot. And we see that our database is up now. Great. So this is a dual purpose exercise, getting this stuff going. Man, I can actually adjust this slightly. Yesterday I had things hidden because I had credentials on display, and so, or not credentials, but like my email address and username and all that good stuff on display, and I didn't want that. So I'll just shrink the browser window down here so that we can see that. And you see that we've got all the stuff. We can create. I think I probably should need, oh, there we go. And we can show our options. I need to fix this retired button. And okay, so the app's running. So yesterday morning and afternoon, we got Entra set up. We created our application registration. we added the configuration node to the code that's running in my IDE right now. I'll shrink this and this. And now I can make my code window even taller. Here we go. You can see the whole shebang now. And we got it to the point where the application will spin up and we can sign in like so. And I can use the account that I created yesterday and hit sign in. And in we go. And it recognizes that I am here. Good stuff. And I'm going to monkey around with the layout and the styling of how all of that stuff works later on. But now that I'm signed in, I'm very curious about what information about that account I can get and use in my application. Hey, what's happening, Black Bag Software? How do you do? So let's dive into that. And what I'm going to do is we're just going to create a temporary page in our Blazor app. So we're going to add a Razor component called, just going to call it temp user. Bam. All right. Yeah, we'll leave that. We'll even leave the code in place because this isn't going to be an actual part of the application. This is just exploratory coding. And where the heck did it go? Here's that. Let's close all of this stuff. Close other tabs. And I need to grab some stuff. And that needs to actually go up into pages. This is only my second coffee, so. Come on. Cut. Okay, good. Yep, no, it's in page, or it's in pages now. So I don't do this stuff very often. Excuse me. I gotta grab this. Go. Drop in up at the top. And check my syntax. Okay, I need the leading slash here. And user info. All right, now for Blazor, let's just drop an authorized view in here. And we'll have two flavors. Oh, right on. Cool. What are you building, Blackbag? Damn it, Rob. I'm so used to being able to hit the control end of line, and the keyboard mappings on a Mac are different. Okay, cool. I've had thoughts like that, but because I'm trying to demonstrate minimum viable product type stuff, I didn't want to go down that road yet. I figured I'd just pick a specific use case and implement that, and then I implemented it just like as a console app, and I showed some friends, like some D&D players that I actually play with and DM for, and who also DM on the side, and they're like, oh dude, I want this. So I said, you know what, let's start building out an actual application for this thing. So that's what I've been doing for the past almost a month at this point. And it's going a whole lot slower than it would otherwise, because I tend to only work on this thing while I'm streaming. Go away, cheap viewers on spam people. We don't do that here. Goodbye. Temp user. And so H3, no, not HE, H3. I need to just go over to my layout and my nav menu and steal a little bit of code from over here. Yeah, paying for viewers really feels disingenuous. It's not something I want to do. Username, pal. All right. And if context dot user dot identity dot, oh, Rob, come on, man, I've got a bad case of cranial rectitis this morning. Well, let's just start with this rather than writing a whole boatload of code. And we'll see what we get. And I don't think I'm storing the authorization information into a session cookie, but even if we are, that's fine. Or not a session cookie, but a browser level cookie. All right, we're logged in. /user info. Okay, hello DevDad. Now, I want to see what I've got in that object. So, let's come over here. And oh, come on, dude. Here we are. At a Breaky McPoint. Will it let me? Nope, guess not. All right. String username equals context dot user dot Rust. Oh, I know it exists, and I know a lot of people really, really love it and say that it's the only real programming language. And whenever a language gets that kind of fanaticism around it, usually means it's a particular company pushing it. All right. Let's drop a breakpoint here. I guess that's not going to give me anything I want. Stop. Nope, no breakpoints there. Protected. Override. void on initialized. What is going on here? Tag helper must have a start tag, an end tag, and be self-closing. Yeah, Visual Studio's gotten itself into a state. I love when it does that. Here we go. And it tends to, when Roslyn freaks out like this, it stops interpreting anything else on the page. Uninitialized. String username. Equals stranger. And so what I could do is h3 hello at username. I should be able to do that, theoretically. What are you bitching about? Oh, duh. I have to put it in child content. Okay, so if they're running into non-scalable or scaling issues, I think they're running into situations where maybe they're using the language for use cases that it isn't designed for. Oh dear. Yeah. Yeah, Rust seems to me to be like a really, really great language for writing tiny, fast, single-purpose daemon processes. I don't know that I'd want to try to build a complex web application with it, or a very large server. I suppose it's got some great HTTP capabilities, but maybe wrapping it in or using those to build an API that wraps system level capabilities or stuff like that, sure. But as far as building like a very large, complex, multi-component system, I don't know that it's necessarily the right tool for that job. Because I understand the threading model in Rust is not the easiest thing to work with. I honestly don't know enough about it to be able to speak intelligently on aspects of the language or what it's suited for. This is all supposition that I'm saying right now. All right, let's sign in. We'll sign in. And we'll go to, I should just make this bigger for now. /user info. Let's roll. I have a feeling it's just going to vomit all over me. Oh yeah, because I haven't done anything yet. Duh. If context dot user and context doesn't exist. All right. So I vaguely remember how I did this in ASP, like regular MVC or what have you, but I am unsure what I need. I don't have to pull anything in here. That's all CSS. Supposedly some Rust devs are complaining that C devs are not helping them port C code to Rust. Oh, boo-hoo. Alright, so we're going to need uninitialized and a new window. How to access the HTTP request in a Blazor page. That's all I want to do. Here we go. Away. No, that's CSHTML. And I need to inject the context accessor. That's right. So that's what I forgot. Copy this. I remember adding that to the system services yesterday. Boop. So our context equals, what's that? HTTP context accessor. Accessor dot HTTP context. Boop. That might be null. Sure is. If context is null, we're not going to do anything. In fact, I'm going to get rid of this. If context is null, we're just going to return. Otherwise, yeah, that's fine. Actually, what we'll do is username equals ghost. Hey, what's up, Rev? Yeah, my robot decided to look out the door for a second. Neither I nor it have taken our pay attention pills yet this morning. All right, so username will be ghost if there's no context. Otherwise, var name equals context dot user dot identity dot name. And if all that's null, we'll call them stranger. And this is enough for me to prove to myself that I know who we are. And let's get rid of this child content. Come out to the end here. Paste that. 86 that. And we'll try running now. Yeah, Rev, it was a very dear friend of ours. It was her birthday yesterday. and our friend group got together in town to celebrate and have a couple of drinks and some snacks and stuff like that last night. I kept my head on straight because I had the car keys, and we got home at like 10:30, and that's fine because I normally don't hit the sheets until closer to midnight. All right, so we've got this going, but when we got home, we sat down to watch just like a short show or whatever before we went up to bed, and we found Terminator Zero had debuted on Netflix, and yeah, that kind of sucked us in. All right. And in the background, you can hear the basket case cat yakking away. All right, so good. Here's our HTTP context. Now I can start interrogating. Excuse me. Here's that. And features. I've got all kinds of features. I don't care about that stuff. User. How many claims have I got? Goodness gracious, Lil. She's deaf. And doesn't know what she sounds like when she meows, and she tends to panic a lot. All right, so I've got my name identifier, auth time, my object identifier. I'm gonna need that. Display name, given, surname, and the flow. I do not have my claims. Oh, wait, here we go. Subject, claims. Okay. Those are the exact same claims that I dug into before. So I am going to need to figure out how to add security groups. What's this? Items. Nothing I need to worry about. Query feature, blah, blah, blah. Okay, these are all just features of the HTTP connection. Excuse me. So here's user. All right. So now I got to make a decision. I could manage user permissions in my database, but that means splitting information about the users into two different stores, because I'm using Entra for identity, and I really prefer to use Entra for authorization as well, because my permissions graph in this application isn't going to be really complicated. It's going to be more along the lines of, are they authorized to use the application at all? And are they a paid user? And most of the stuff is going to be for paid users only, because AI and language models ain't cheap. So I could alter the user flow, and we could do that. Oh, it's Mary Shelley's birthday today. Here's this. grab this and shrink that down so that we see that. And that should hide my stuff. And I think I closed those windows somehow. That was silly of me. Oh, no. There it goes. All right. So I'm going to come over to Entra. And... oh, where the heck are the flows? It's not under monitoring. Manage users. Entra Connect. User settings. Go to the overview, manage tenants. Just go home. Change back to that directory. Pull this over to the other screen for a minute because it's going to make me do stupid things. Yeah, I think you're on the wrong coast. Yeah, and I don't, and Lori's not part of the tadpool. She's like a local buddy. All right, here, no. Rob, head in butt. Let's go here. Good. That's what I want. We'll go home. And I guess I'll have to navigate in the stupid way. Resource groups. Admin. Here's this. Open the tenant. Log in. Here we go. Yeah, here we go. User flows. Aha. Oh, gosh. Okay. So sign up, sign in. Let's see if we can edit this flow. Don't have any API connectors. I don't need them. User attributes, page layouts. These are all things that the page layouts are things that I'll play with later. Let's look at the user attributes. Excuse me. And it's not... So these are the application claims that I'll have access to, and none of these are what I want to pull back. Customize. No. Am I going to have to create extended properties for this stuff? Or make a Microsoft graph call? Because if that's the case, I don't think I want to do that. How about manage user attributes? Attribute type, yeah. How about add? Name, data type string, enter description. Don't love it. Really don't love it. Okay, so we also have a stray cat that lives outside and is trying to get stuck in, or not get stuck, but keeps trying to invade the house. All right, so I got a decision to make. I either put the permissions information in the database, which bleh, or I modify this stuff, or I come back out to Safari, how to query group membership, group role membership in ASP.NET in Azure. I suppose I should specify core. Excuse me. And those answers are all at least 2 years old. This one's from April. Authentication, default scheme, default challenge scheme, add Microsoft Identity web app configuration get section. Yeah. I'm not worried about that stuff. Name of the login person using below code. Yeah, good enough. And oh, good God. We use AD as the authentication scheme. Microsoft already provide Graph API to query most of the user information. Query all the groups the user belongs to. According to the API document, we can see that it requires API permissions. Go to AD, registered apps, certificates and secrets, create a client secret, API permissions blade to add required API permissions. Yeah, I've already got that. And then we can use the Graph SDK. Yuck. To get their stuff. User.read. Okay, that's fine. But if I go the Entra group route, when I hook up Stripe, I'm going to need to set up some sort of webhook on my side that Stripe can call when somebody signs up or makes a payment or whatever. Basically, whenever somebody's subscription status changes. And I'm going to need to use Microsoft Graph to pop their user account into whatever group they belong in when it comes to that. So I guess there's no escape from using Graph. And that means I should probably add a Graph client wrapper just to sort of facade around those pieces that I need. Very well, then. That's what we'll do. So, here's the stuff that I'm going to need there. I'm going to shrink that down. And we'll just close these and close that. And this is going to be another resource access project. Add. New project. Come on. going to be a class library again. Next, source, and I'm going to call it that developer dad dot ms graph access. Yeah. Yep, long-term support. And class 1, let's rename it at the file system level to ms graph user provider yes. That's a crappy name. We'll probably replace it with something else later. And right now, the only thing that it's going to use is public list of string get group membership string user ID. Excuse me. All right, task index async graph service client .me .member of .get async list groups blah 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 groups.add group boogity temp top display name. What's cool, whatever. I'm also going to need a add class ms graph connection config. It'll be public. And I know we're going to need client ID. And let's just do this right. Public string client ID. Damn it, Rob. Bloody Mac keybinds versus Windows keybinds. And I think that's about all I need for that, because I'm going to be using stuff. Got section, Azure AD, downstream API. I'm going to have to refresh my memory on all of this nonsense later. Enable token acquisition to call downstream API. Okay. Add in memory token caches, whatever. Authorized filter policy. Build up a graph service client. Where is that being instantiated? All right. I'll add more stuff to that config object or that config class as I discover that I need it. CTOR. It's going to need a MS graph connection config. And what's the package I need to install? Oh gosh, it's been a while. NuGet Microsoft dot graph. Oh, you dirty rat. That's under installed, you fool. Microsoft dot graph. Here we go. Core. Azure Management. RBAC Fluent. Communications. Single unified developer experience. Yeah, that's nice. Communications client. I don't need the communications stuff. Microsoft.ActiveDirectory.graph client. I don't feel like that's the right one. I really feel like that's not the right one. I feel like I should probably grab this one because it was last updated 2 days ago. Yeah, this is the one I want. So we'll install that. Is it installing? Is it done? I feel like it's trying to install. Oh, yeah, it's still going. My goodness. This room that I'm trying to stream from is absolute chaos today with kitties and people moving around and throwing boxes and recycling and stuff around me and so on. Var. No. List of string. User groups and doors slamming. Return user groups. So at least now we'll get something back. And private read only. Is it Microsoft dot graph dot clients core constants graph client, where are you? Graph client factory dot I. Oh, what the heck is it called? Graph service client. Bam. Graph service. I'll just call it graph service. Then I'm going to rip out the namespacing. Drop that up in at the top. Using. Bam. Save. And this frickin' assembly by default is doing implicit usings, which make me insane. Disable. Save. That means I need to import some other namespaces. Bam. That's much more readable, and I know exactly what nonsense I need to import here. So, graph service equals new Graph service client. Authentication provider. I want to use I'm not connecting to the Microsoft 365, you idiots. All right. Manage NuGet packages. There's a URL I need from over here. You, my friend. Developer.microsoft.com/graph. Read documentation. Here we go. When all else fails, RTFM. So connectors and for Copilot, no. Deploy with Bicep, whatever. Enter methods to manage access and authenticate users. Graph data connect. Graph connectors. Let's just come in here, shall we? Default user permissions, profile photo settings. Don't care about any of this nonsense. Just tell me what I gotta code to connect. Get started, try the APIs, tutorials. App only auth. dotNet. Here we go. And we are not accessing data on behalf of a user. Right, whatever. Register an application that supports app-only authentication using client credentials flow. Whatever. Secure access for a connected world. Blah, 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 blah. Directory stuff. Cameras decided that it wants to show you September. User read. App only off uses client credentials flow. The permissions be configured on the app registration. Okay. So does that mean I need a different client ID and secret? Probably. Yeah. Yeah, it probably does. And that's okay. That's fine. And I also know that I'm going to need public string tenant ID. Get set. We're going to need to keep the client secret. And I am going to need one of those. Yuck. I think that's probably all I'm going to need. Oh, I'm probably going to need to add scopes to my authentication request. Pardon me. Okay, we install the dependencies. We've already got identity client library, graph client library. I should probably install identity. Request adapter, no. We're just going to get rid of you. Okay. I think I know what we're going to do this afternoon is actually work through this graph client, or this graph facade. Good. Setting this client secret. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. This is all just set up for that. Okay. Yeah. This afternoon when we come back, we're going to flesh out this graph client and try to get a query for one of my users to pull back their groups. Right now, the only method we're going to implement is this get group membership for a user or for a specified user. Later, I'm going to have to implement add user to group, remove user from group, stuff like that for other purposes, other parts of my system. But we're going to need to, today, just implement get group membership. And that's what we're going to get sorted out this afternoon, I think. So until then, I say happy coding. Remember to be nice to yourselves. This is difficult. We can't remember all these details of all of these different subsystems and all of this stuff that we work with all the time. There's just too bloody much of it. And I will see you all back here this afternoon, 1 p.m. Eastern time-ish. I'll likely fall down some rabbit hole somewhere and lose track of time and be a couple of minutes late because that's what happens these days. But I will do my best to be here by 1 o'clock. Take care, everybody.